by the American Legion on Convoy Boulevard all the way down to the river was an artist colony. Marcus Spring and his wife Rebecca built this colony. They believed in art. They invited tremendous artists to come here, people that were free thinkers. Henry David Thoreau was here. A man called Albert Camus. Camus worked in brass, and he made some fantastic sculptures. The lions in front of the New York Library were cast here in Perth Amboy in Eagleswood. Yeah.
When was this colony extant?
Up until prior to the Civil War, probably the early 1800s.
And this was where George
Ennis painted here. If you go to the Metropolitan Museum and go to the the American Wing, and you get up on that floor, you'll see a huge painting almost as big as his bust. And it's called Peace and Prosperity. And there's parts of it, I'm sure, are Perth Amboy. And it was painted by George Ennis. And his house was over by the car wash where the cars turn around. It was torn down to make a Checkers, and now it has the important area of a turnaround waiting area for the car wash. But that is where I'm almost positive a lot of Peace and Prosperity is painted. Henry David Thoreau lived in that house.
Are you familiar with the similar colony in the Lincroft area?
Affirmative. That's run by the same type of people.
Right. What was that one called?
Phalanx.
Phalanx, that's right.
Now,
But guys, George Ennis was important because he's considered the father of American landscape painting.
Yep, and they encouraged people to come here. They had terrible, outlandish ideas. Horace Mann stayed here, the guy of modern education. They believed that women should be educated.
Whoa.
They believed that no matter what color of your skin, you should be educated. And anybody that came here was educated. And they taught people to read and taught people to write. And they had a little corps, but now the Civil War began. Rebecca Spring was afraid of nothing. She brought escaped slaves here, and they stayed here. When John Brown men were killed and hung, she buried them over here on Smith Street for a while. Then they were exhumed and moved. She feared nothing.
So this was a stop on the Underground Railroad here.
Oh yeah, it was one of the end, because the people were free, and she would give them jobs and stuff. So she was a piece of work, and she was afraid of nothing, and neither were her husband. Her husband met a guy by the name of Thomas Peterson on the street and said, "Go down to City Hall and vote." And he did. And he was the first black man to vote in the United States. And Matthias Spring told him to go vote. So the Springs had this whole thing. Now, in the Civil War, they started a cadet corps, and it became a military academy. And the Springs weren't into military and shooting.
Sound like it.
So they kind of left. Rebecca Spring lived to be 100 years old. She helped found the Women's Clubs of America. She was something else. It's one of the names I suggested for the Seaman Street School is the Marcus and Rebecca Spring School.
It is Marcus. Yeah,
That was
Marcus.
her husband.
Right, okay.
Yeah, and he was a big gun in this. And he encouraged making and cutting of wood and painting. And they had a dock down here where they would go swimming and boats would bring people in and stuff like that. It's hard to get to. You got to like walk around the other side of the railroad to see it. But this was called Eagleswood Avenue, and then it became Market Street, because at the end of Market Street is the Market Square, which we're going to go now, go around it, and then we'll go to St. Peter's, okay?